And welcome back to day 6, I want to say. Eldritch Moon spoilers. And today we got some weird ones. We got a couple whose art I can't show because they were, again, I'm on MTVG Salvation, so I can show a lot of art, but I can't show all the art. We got a couple, but they're both Eldrazi's. They're both interesting. We got an adorable little kitty cat that bites with its butt, kind of. And we got the card I used as the thumbnail for the video, which we'll get to. But we'll start off with just in order. So first thing we got here is Stormkirk Condemned. Now this is a 2/2 black vampire horror. You can see that it's got multiple arms in this photo. It's feeding on the blood. There it is. See, it's just kind of messed up and stuff like that. 2/2. And discard a card. Vampires you control get +1/+1 until the end of each turn. Activate this ability only once per turn. It's a rare card. That pretty much means that you can enable madness right off the bat. Anything that just discards a card right off the bat is a madness enabler, and in this format, that's a big thing. Goes well. It also goes well with vampire tribal because a lot of vampires have madness to them in their cost, so it's good for vampire tribal. Overall, its stats, it's a bear. Especially when you're running mono black or 2 colors with black being one of them. It's a bear. So it's going to be playable regardless. It's a bear with an upside. And bears with an upside are never a bad thing. So overall, it's a decent card. Then we have the adorable cuteness of Harmless Offering. Now, I didn't notice this originally, and I'm just going to show you. It's a sorcery that costs 2 generic, 1 red. Target opponent gains control of target permanent you control, which can mean a lot depending on the terrible permanents you have. Look at it. Oh, my God. But then you see its tail's got a little mouth on it. Guy's got a bandage on his finger. It's adorable, though. Oh, my God. That is the most adorable face I've seen on a card in a long time. As for the card itself, though, here's the thing. I don't know of a great deal of things right now in both sets that... and again, I think from a standpoint of sealed, pre-release, things along those lines, Commander, Casual, I can think of a lot of stuff that can hurt an opponent, but if they have it. But at the same time, I can't think of a lot of stuff right now that would have that kind of effect. So it's kind of iffy. I don't know. We'll have to see how that one plays out. This one, Mythic, Decimator of the Provinces. Now, I do not have a picture for this, at least one I can go to right off the bat. But it is, I did make mention of the fact that we could get a Mythic Rare Emerge card. And lo and behold, we get a Mythic Rare Emerge card. Now, is generally speaking, 10 mana of any color, 7/7, Trample Haste, Eldrazi Boar. Emerge, 6 generic, any color, 3 green. Meaning, at minimum, it's going to cost 3 green. At the most, its cost will be lowered to 3 green. Whenever you cast, I'm going to assume Decimator of the Provinces, it says card name, but Decimator of Provinces, creatures you control get +2/+2 and trample to the end of turn. Now this reminds me a bit of Craterhoof Behemoth, particularly with the Emerge cost. I wouldn't say it's as good as Craterhoof Behemoth, because Craterhoof Behemoth, the minute it hit the field, it was kind of just overrun, just done. You're dead. With this, though, it can be cast a lot cheaper than Craterhoof Behemoth, especially when you... Again, realistic scenario, this is late game. Anything with 3 to 5 mana is very possible. Let's go with the magical Christmas land scenario. 6, you can cast R3. But the more realistic scenario is going to be probably 3 or 4. 5 if you're lucky. So, average 4, that means you're going to cast this thing for 7/7 for 2 generic, 3 mana. So 5 altogether. And you get creatures you control, including this, would get +2/+2 and trample to the end of turn. Meaning you're actually technically casting it as a 9/9 overrun. Including any other creatures you have. So overall, this is a very solid Mythic, very powerful. It will beat some faces in. That is guaranteed. Where it falls in terms of the lines of pre-release, yeah, you'll probably anything with Emerge, you're probably going to play in the pre-release because it's going to be easier to get out than most other cards. In terms of how it plays in our decks, we'll have to see how that plays out. But I do like that style card. Then we have Wharf Infiltrator. And this is a 1 generic, 1 green, or 1 blue, sorry. 1 generic, 1 blue, human horror, 1/1. Its art is very tentacly. It's like, oh, we're having a party down here. Get all your cute anime girls down here. We're having a big old tentacly party. Yeah. This is a hentai pervert's dream. Whenever Worf, it's got Skulk, so it's a 1/1, meaning it's pretty much unblockable to anything but 1/1s and 0, anything with 1 or 0 toughness. So it's pretty much unblockable. Whenever Worf Infiltrator deals combat damage to a player, you may draw a card and discard a card. So it's a looter ability. Whenever you discard a creature card, you may pay 2 generic. If you do, you put a 3/2 colorless Eldrazi creature token horror into play, or colorless Eldrazi horror creature token in the battlefield. That's pretty good. That means, because right off the bat, next turn you can attack in, discard a creature card, a low-cost creature card you don't think would be useful, more or less, and get something of value out of that. It's a very trade your resources for something better card, and it's a pretty solid card. It's going to be unblockable to a lot of stuff. That being said, anyone who puts a spirit onto the battlefield, like a 1/1, which there are cards that do that, and you're still going to be playing with cards from Shadows over Innistrad that do that as well in the pre-release, because the pre-release pack has 2 Shadows, 3 or 4 Eldritch moons. But overall, it's a very solid card, a very good. I'll use it if I get it. That's the important thing. I'll use it if I get it. Then we have, I'm going to see if I pronounce it right, Greer Reach Sanctorium or Sanitarium. It's pretty much, which I've heard people kind of say, oh, it looks like Arkham Asylum, or it's kind of a nod to Arkham Asylum, and I'm like, I can kind of see that. It's more just, shit be cray, so we're going cray, and I forgot my notes for my other video, but whatever, it's not a lot, I can remember it. So there's the very gothic art style, and if you can see in the back there, I know you can see some tentacles there in the background. Very, very kind of Cthulhu-esque, very fun. You all are welcome. Adds a colorless mana to your mana pool. Each player draws a card, then discards a card. Very basic. I'm certain a lot. See, I'm one of those players who doesn't necessarily see the humongous value in those cards, but in a set that has madness and things along those lines, I can definitely see where it could be a plus. But then again, there are far more strategic, intelligent people can make better sense of these cards than I can in terms of strategy and playing. But overall, not a terrible card. And then we have Eldritch Evolution. Now, this is the card I use for my thumbnail. It's a 1 generic 2/2 sorcery. As an additional cost to cast this, sacrifice a creature. Now, search your library for a creature card with convert mana cost X or less, where X is +2 of the sacrifice creature's converted mana cost. Put that creature card in the battlefield, then shuffle your library and exile this card. So there's the card. Oh, wait 1 second. You see more or less a mutant boar crawling out of the corpse of another boar with a bunch of bubbly goo tentacles, I'm guessing. As for the card itself, this is a very interesting card because let's say you could even play this on an Ornithopter and get a 2. This card gets you something regardless. No matter what it is you're casting this on, you're getting a card. So right off the bat, it's got value to it. But again, in a realistic scenario, you're probably using this on something that costs 4 or 5 mana, maybe at most. That means you're getting something that costs 7 mana, which let's see here, going back real quick. What in this set costs 7 mana that you can play? Or just go search your library and get? Well, right off the bat, I'm just scrolling by things. You can get yourself a nice, tasty, Ulrich the Crown Horde, a legendary werewolf, or you can get yourself a lovely Bruna or Gisela. You can get both the angels that merge. You can get a Wretched Griff. You can get and I'm right now. And by the way, I'm just going for the 7 mana cost right now. You can get Dulcet of Perfection. Your the last and final form of hopefully last form of Delver. You can get yourself a Nimbus Frost, which is another solid card. You can get yourself a Ulvel Zur. You can get yourself a Tree of Perdition. You can get yourself a Gilsa and Giraffe. How about Gilsa and Giraffe? How about a Volden Pariah? Or how about a smoldering werewolf? Or not into a smoldering werewolf, how about a Vilden Pack Outcast werewolf? Not into that? Well, how about a... let me see if I can find anything else to use this metaphor with, or comparison with. I can't find anything else that's serious. Point being, it's a very useful card for searching stuff. It's for searching and getting things out. This is going to be a very useful card in the format. Then we have Eternal Scourge. Now, Eternal Scourge is an Eldrazi horror. Costs 3 generic, 3/3 mana, or 3 generic mana. It's a 3/3. You may cast it from exile, and if it becomes the target of a spell or ability an opponent controls, exile it. So this thing, unless you put it in the graveyard, somehow, some way, and the only way I see through that is through combat. It can never die. Because Eternal Scourge. It's eternal. It literally cannot die except by somehow putting it in the graveyard. You can't bounce it because it gets exiled. Most you can do is maybe, is it spell or ability? Target spell or ability. You can't fight it. You can't use a creature's effect to destroy it because then it just gets exiled. Best you can hope for is destroy it in battle and put it in the graveyard. Otherwise, this thing just will never die. Now that being said, it's not invincible. If it's up against something that's stronger than it, you're not going to attack in it with this card, but still, a very useful card. Then we get to this thing. Now, I know we are in a set that has madness, that focuses on emptying your hand out. But I look at cards like these that need a player to have no cards in their hand. And I'm like, no, just no. Okay, now that be fair, it's a robot werewolf, more or less. It's a pretty cool looking card. The art is awesome on this card. I love it. It's Lupine prototype. 2 generic mana, 5/5, artifact creature, wolf construct. I hope I don't get this in the pre-release because there's no use to this card at all. It can't attack or block unless a player has no cards or in their hand. You might have a turn for that with that scenario. A turn. Other than that, though, it's pretty useless. An opponent is not going to keep their hand to 0 if this thing's on the battlefield. They're always going to keep at least one card in their hand at that point. You're not going to keep your hand at 0 because you need cards in your hand. The madness strategy works when you're discarding cards, but you always have cards in your hand still to have options. When you have no cards in your hand, you have no options. This card is a very it's a trap. It is a very bad trap you don't want to fall into. So I'll flat out say it. That's a bad card. Just not a card I want to play with. Not a card I want to get. And if someone can see different with that, that's fine. Sure, if you can make it work, absolutely. I'm just not one of those people that could make it work or see anyone making it work. After that, we got an old favorite, Murder, same mana cost before, 2 black, 1 generic, and, destroy target creature. Can kill Emrakul, good for that. It cannot kill. Here's an interesting thing. Emrakul is, in theory, the stronger when it comes out into the battlefield. But Bricella is the overall stronger of the two because Justella honestly just stops the field cold. It just stops the field dead. It stops your opponent cold too because you can't cast anything of 3 below. So, and this thing can't kill Bricella. That's the thing. Bricella, if you can get... Emrakul is going to be the more likely to get out on the battlefield simply because it's easier to cast in the long run. You need 2 specific cards because of Meld for Bricella. But the 2 specific cards are quite strong in their own right. But Emrakul just beats them both down. Outright, Emrakul would defeat Bricella in a fight. There's no question about that. However, and you can cast Emrakul after someone casts Bricella. You can still cast it and then own them. But in terms of straight board control, yes, turn control with Eldritch. I don't know. Maybe I should make an entirely separate video on which is stronger. I don't know. Because it's debatable, honestly. But then we have the new sorcery, Whispers of Emrakul. Your thoughts are no longer your own. Which we see this cool art with tentacles kind of just invading some person's head as they try to stab this monster. Now, the art's a bit blurry because I think they had to get it from somewhere where it wasn't technically... It wasn't with the Mother Site spoilers today. It wasn't with anything else. Excuse me. Ooh. But Whispers of Emrakul. 1 generic, 1 black. Target opponent is sorcery. Target opponent discards a card at random. Delirium. You know what Delirium does. 4 more cards of different creature types. 2 cards at random. Again, I like discarding cards. I like limiting my opponent's choices, especially if maybe they're tapped out. The madness can't go off, but that's the thing. Madness exists in this set. When you're in a set that exists for working with discard, then it's a bit of a problem. Last card of today is Grapple with the Past. And this is a card that's it's a different version of oh god. I have the card too, where the girl's, it's a wishing well more or less. She throws a coin in the well and wish. Now we got an Eldrazi just taking a little bear. I think more or less it's implying it ate the girl. It is a instant green, one generic, one green. Put the top 3 cards of your library into your graveyard. Then you may return a creature or land card from your graveyard to your hand. If a girl does not grant wishes, desires simply align with her will. It's good at getting a card. If you got something in your graveyard automatically you want to get back, it's going to be a very solid card for doing that. So, I mean, self-mill is not something I'm a huge fan of, but I can see the implications and value for the card. So, I mean, again, we'll have to see how it all evens out. But, yeah, that's my thoughts on today's spoilers. There's more than likely something else is going to spoil by the time I'm done with this video, or when I get back from my movie tonight, which I'm seeing Legend of Tarzan tonight. You can catch a showing for that, as it turns out. So, yeah, thanks for watching, though. Hope you enjoyed. Like, comment, share, and subscribe. As always, if you want to review something, put in the comments below, and we'll do a review of it at some point. Be back in a little bit with one final video before